Welcome back to Black Girl Iowa, the podcast where we celebrate the voices and journeys of Black women making an impact across our state. My name is Emily, and today I'm proud to introduce Anesa Buchanan, a native of Des Moines, Iowa, whose career reflects more than 17 years of dedication in healthcare and community equity. She began her journey at UnityPoint Health as a certified medical assistant and has grown into her current role as Director of Community Impact and Engagement, where she leads initiatives that strengthen patient care, workplace culture, and health equity across the organization. Anisa is a proud graduate of Buena Vista University, class of 2023, earning her degree in organizational leadership cum laude. She also completed her master's in organizational leadership from BVU in May. Her community impact has been recognized widely. She is the recipient of the Martin Luther King Jr. Achievement Award from the Iowa Civil Rights Commission, the West Des Moines Chamber Community Impact and Engagement Initiative Award, and in 2024, she was inducted into the East High School Hall of Fame. When asked about the best part of growing up in Iowa, Anisa highlights the power of relationships. In a smaller state and with a close knit Black community, she's been able to form connections and long lasting relationships that continue to inspire her both personally and professionally. So, ladies, gentlemen, and non binary friends, I'd like to welcome Miss Anesa Buchanan to the show. Anisa, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Dying, burning question that I did not put on the Google form or on the list of questions that I send. You were inducted into the East High School Hall of Fame. Please tell us why. What was that like? What was that experience for you? We want to know it all.
Well, it was pretty amazing. I was actually surprised by it. So I work with a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Courtney Green, and she nominated me. She's also an East High alumni. She nominated me for the award because of the work in the community that I've done and some of their clinic spaces over there and some of the health initiatives, especially during COVID,
Hmm.
making sure vaccines were available for that side of town. So she nominated me for that work and they selected me. And I must say, I was the first of the class of 99. So
Oh,
to be inducted.
that is awesome. I mean, that must be such a feeling, and I always tell people that, like, being from Des Moines is one thing, going to a DMPS high school is totally different. Like, we
Mhm.
wear that as like a badge of honor for the rest of our lives. So
Yes.
to have yours and then also East High graduate, class of 1999 and Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
that's epic. Like snaps.
Thank you.
It's amazing. What did the kids do? That's
Yeah.
tea? That's
Tea.
awesome. Yes, that's tea. We're doing it. So when you guys see the video, you'll see that we're doing the it's tea. That's awesome. So Anissa, I've seen you around the community quite a bit. I don't know if you know this, but thanks to you, I got my COVID vaccination. Our mutual friend Brittany, I remember I said I need to get my COVID vaccine, and she's like, "Oh my god, reach out to my homegirl Anissa. She'll hook you up." And so I got my COVID vaccine because of you. I'm very, very appreciative, even though that vaccine knocked me out for 3 days.
Yeah.
It was no, I never want to go through that again. But
Yes.
before we kind of talk about all of your community engagement and especially everything that you're doing around healthcare, and making sure that not only the information is out there, but there is also equity, and access. Talk a little bit about growing up here in Des Moines. It's a unique experience. So, what was your childhood like growing up here in Des Moines, and how did those roots shape who you are today?
So I had the kind of childhood that like you see on movies where there's bikes in the front yard, there's kids running around the neighborhood. I grew up on the east side on East 17th and Lion Street. The house is gone now. They tore it down for the freeway. I
Wow.
went to Lucas Elementary School, which is now Capitol View Elementary School.
Hmm.
I went to Amos Hyatt Middle School, and then I went to East High. And so I was just entrenched in the East Side, so everybody that I knew and a lot of the people that I still know still live on the East Side. We're just ride or die East Siders. Building that sense of community has just been phenomenal because I've been able to use those connections in the future. So, for example, if I need to find a social worker, I have a friend that I know went to school to be a social worker. Or if a friend of mine wants me to come to Hyatt to talk to some kids, she knows to reach out to me because I used to go there and I can make a connection with them. So it's really cool having that network that was built from, being 5 and 6 years old all the
Mhm.
way up until you're an adult.
That really speaks to those lasting relationships that you mentioned about one of the great things about being here. Thus far, kind of what's one of your best or your favorite connections that you've been able to make, whether it be in your professional, your personal life, and how have those connections kind of helped you move forward or even maybe kept you motivated?
So I have a friend that her name is Tiffany Braxton, and I'm not sure if you know Tiffany, but a lot of people know Tiffany. She does really amazing things. So
Mhm.
we had this unique opportunity when we were in junior high school. We were both very high scorers on the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. So we had the opportunity to go to the University of Iowa and participate in the summer program. So we made that connection back then, and we are still connecting to this day. She's the friend that connected me to Hyatt Middle School. She's
Mhm.
teaching, she's in the classroom now instead of being, I think she was a success coordinator before.
Okay.
And just that connection with her also led to the connection with Duana, her sister, which
Yeah.
then I was able to have our organization help support Juneteenth
Mhm.
and other things like that. And so it's led to just some really cool, solid community connections. And I'm not even sure if she knows how impactful our relationship has been, but it's been very impactful to me.
Mhm.
She's helped to guide some of the programming I wanted to do, even vaccinations with the kids. If they don't get certain vaccines, they can't go on to middle school.
Mhm.
So we were able to connect with some immigrant families to get them the vaccines they needed because the clinic that I managed was right around the corner and she needed help. And so we were able to work and get it taken care of. So
Mhm.
just a really solid like friendship turned like relationship and kind of
Mhm.
colleague based knowledge
Yeah,
of each other.
and it's so awesome that you mentioned that because how you talk about Tiffany is how I feel about our mutual.
Yes.
So, Brittany Leak, I have known her since the 6th grade. I remember the day I met her. She had on a pair of Jordans, and I had never seen Jordans before. And I was like, "Oh my god, I love your shoes." And she was like, "These are Jordans. They're not just shoes." And I was like, immediately, I got to know this girl. And so that interconnectedness I think is really important that on that professional level, you can reach out to each other for various different needs. For you, it would be going into schools and talking about vaccines and also getting help with Juneteenth and all those other things. But also, it's a totally other thing when you've been friends with someone for that long and you get to see them grow and evolve into
Yes.
the women that they are.
Yes.
Brittany has always been someone that has been incredibly funny. She's also just so caring and kind and so supportive, but also taking that as I've always known this as my friend. And now she's my friend. Plus she's a mom, she's a wife, seeing them in those different areas now, it's like, wow, I've been here for all of it. You know what I
And
mean?
she's
Like,
a total boss babe too.
man, listen.
To
Way I really love that, and I feel like
Yes.
that's how it is with a lot of other women that I've grown up with, but even with women that I've connected with now that I am an adult, or as my students like to say, I'm auntie or unc, which we're still working on the unc part, you know what I mean? But when you really get to kind of know someone's heart and how they are, then it's almost like when you do ask for that help on that professional side, it's like, nope, we're all doing this together. We're all growing together. So that kind of leads me into my next area of questions because I feel like being interconnected is incredibly important with your friends, with your family, but also being interconnected with community. But with you being the advocate that you are, was there a moment where you really stepped into that advocate role and really had that vested interest not only in the health of Black people, but just of our general community?
I would say that happens to me probably at least once a week, in all
Mm,
honesty. So the role that I'm in and the work that I do really aligns with kind of the purpose that I feel like my life has. So work doesn't feel like work, it feels like my purpose. And I am privileged to be able to work within my purpose.
mm,
So, for example, during COVID, again, we had to find a way to make vaccines accessible to the east side of Des Moines. The East Side is often overlooked, especially from that perspective when there's a lot of Hispanic, Latino, a lot of African American people that live intergenerationally. They were not going to get the vaccine because they were skeptical. So it was very important to provide the information they needed, but also the access. And that's another big thing that I will consistently advocate for is access to care. You know, you shouldn't have to go to the emergency room because you have strep throat because there's no urgent care and you don't have a car and you can't drive to the south side. So,
Mhm,
constantly and continually advocating for access to care, not just that, accessing for or advocating so that people's social determinants of health can be met. So, just because you are of a lower socioeconomic status does not mean you should not get high quality health care and care in general. You know, you should have access to clean water, you should have access to good food and housing just because of your socioeconomic status, you shouldn't be denied those things. And I think that a lot of times people focus on race and ethnicity in a lot of the workspaces that I'm in, but socioeconomic status is kind of a real flatliner. It levels the playing field quite a lot. Whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, if you're poor or if you're struggling, that negates everything else.
mhm,
So you both have the same lack of access.
mhm.
So I just think about that a lot, and so I always try to remember there's a scripture in the Bible that says, you know, we should always take care of the least of these. So that means the people that have struggled the most or are struggling, can't make ends meet. It's our job, those of us that have the privilege to be able to meet our needs, to be able to step out and help them so that they can meet their needs. So it's
Yeah,
our duty.
right, and I think a lot of us, even myself, your socioeconomic status can change overnight,
Yeah.
and having the access and that's why right now I think it's so interesting how we've entered a certain point in our society where it's okay for me to have something, but I don't want you to have it.
Mhm.
And now it used to be, well, I have a nice car, but I don't want you to have a nice car. Now it's, I have access to clean water, but why should you have access to clean
Or
water?
access to education with the changes in student loans.
Man,
I have access to education that you don't have simply because I won the womb lottery and I got money and you don't have
yep,
money.
yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny how it's a back and forth, it's a back and forth, but at the root of it, like, that's a person. At the root of it, that's a person. We all have the same needs. We may need them at different times, but we all have the same needs. And I mean, just to have that right, it's funny how people have to prove the right to have access to healthcare.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any sense. And I was actually in the ER few weeks ago, I had this crazy nosebleed. When the seasons change and when the weather changes, I get sinus infections and I'm prone to nosebleeds. Always has
Mhm.
been since I was a kid. And go to Lutheran. I'm sitting there and handing my information and stuff like that. I have blessed with great health coverage. Blessed with
Yeah.
great health coverage. But it's really interesting how when you go into the hospital and you see the emergency and you see all of the different people, they look like everybody. You can't tell anybody's socioeconomic status like right away, right? So it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't matter if there's a Tesla in the parking lot or if somebody got there by a Uber. Is why do we have to essentially have a hierarchy for who deserves healthcare? That doesn't make any
Absolutely.
sense. And I remember having that moment and then thinking to myself, okay, but if this kid is coughing and actually there was one guy, he had a dog bite 'cause he was a mail carrier, and it was
Mhm.
nasty. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm just like, and this is what people are fighting about is, like, who has access, and then you hear all of the stories of, well, the wait times in the ER are long and all of these other things, and it's like, well, yeah, well, when you guys keep defunding things,
Yes.
the hospitals can't pay to have the right people in place to do
Exactly.
the work. I'm not in healthcare, but yet
But you know.
I know, right? So speaking about that and just about kind of where we are with healthcare and then your experience with UnityPoint Health, what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the journey of advocacy and healthcare?
So a lot of my lessons have been steeped in like my own self-growth and situations, I think. So I was a young mom. I got married very young. I had 2 kids by the time I was 20. I was divorced by the time I was 24. And so I went back to school to become a medical assistant, and that was how I was going to make enough money to take care of myself and my children. And I will never forget the first role I had. I had a leader named Chris, and she was like, "You are phenomenal at what you do." She was like, "Learn every single thing that you can from front to back in this clinic. She's like, I don't care if it's billing. At that time, we had paper charts. I don't care if it's going into the medical records room and learning how to file away charts. Learn how to do everything because you're going to be a great leader. And I carried that with me through my whole career. And so there were times when I would only have enough money to get to work for 2 days. And I'd be like wondering, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there Thursday and Friday till I get paid on Friday? I'd have to call my grandparents. I'd have to call my mom and dad and be like, hey, can I have 20 bucks so that I can get to work? And then, by the way, can I come shop in your refrigerator because I need dinner for me and my kids for the next few days until I get paid? And that at that time, medical assistants made 10.50 an hour, and that was you could live on 10.50 though. Like you could survive, you could live enough to survive on
Right.
10.50. Now people are making $20 an hour and they cannot survive. Oh, you know, it's our community. We have to fill that void as a community, and not just a community, but a church community. We
Mhm.
have to fill that void. My mom has a phenomenal food pantry at Mount Olive Baptist Church that they do on Saturdays. And people start lining up at 10 a.m. It starts at 11. They set it up like a grocery store. So you can pick whatever you want. They have fresh produce, they have meat, they have everything people need to take care of themselves. That is the kind of stuff that we need to take care of our community. And that is has been instilled in me from my parents forever. Even when I was younger and my mom didn't have a bunch of money, if someone needed groceries, we would take whatever money my mom had, buy them some groceries, drop a bag on their doorstep, and leave. I was just raised that way. And it's that community that comes from, again, being from a small area like Des Moines, but also an even smaller micro community of the Black church. And in
Mm.
the Black church, it's all about helping each other, not just
Mhm.
because you show God, but because you show the love of God with one
Mhm.
another. So
Mhm.
working at Unity Point to me was just a natural segue into continuing to show the love of God. I've always had kind of a caretaker spirit. My grandma was the same way.
Mhm.
I've always liked to take care of others and to help others wherever I could. And so this career just kind of developed into a career. I didn't know what it was
Mhm.
going to be when I first started it. I didn't know if I would even like it. I'm a little queasy, so I was like drawing blood, doing all that. I don't know if I can do that. I was fine, and then
Mhm.
it just made room. My gift made room for me. It made way for me. So then I
Mhm.
was able to become a leader in the clinic space and then work harder to develop programming and other things when I became a leader, to help the community that I served. And to not just the community I served, but the team members that were in my clinic spaces, because a lot of them also lived in the community and a lot of them also didn't make enough money to take care of
Mhm.
themselves. So making sure they also had what they needed.
Mhm.
Just advocating in that way to make sure that they're taken care of. Everyone's taken care of. It's our responsibility.
Yeah, and I mean your advocacy, it speaks volumes because not only is it having that impact in the community, but it's also, you're having people that are nominating you from some pretty awesome and prestigious awards, kind of like what I mentioned in your bio, the Martin Luther King Jr. Achievement Award, West Des Moines DEI Initiative Award, East High School Hall of Fame, which what's crazy is that most people think that, like, when you enter a high school hall of fame, it's for a sport. It's for a sport. And it's not always because, quite a few people, they stay in their communities and they have a big impact on them. So, for those recognitions that you've received, what do those mean to you personally?
I think they mean a lot to me. So I always go by the model that I want my work to be transformative, not performative.
Mm,
So I am not probably the person that you're gonna see that's like all over the news, like advocating and talking. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that person, but I may be the person that someone would call and say, "Hey, do you happen to know how to do this? Or can we get a sponsorship for that? Or can you help me connect to the right person for this or that? Or I need you to step in and do this." I do those things, but I don't really need the recognition for it. But the recognition does kind of help me to know that I'm on the right path and that I'm helping the right people. All of those nominations, I had no clue I had been nominated until I won any of them. So being nominated was such an honor for me. And then to also win was such a huge honor for me, especially the Martin Luther King Achievement Award. That was such a huge kind of like a pat on the back I needed at the time because I wasn't sure how effective my work was. And I know, like, you see people doing work in the community, their faces are splashed everywhere. And then there's like me, and I'm like working my butt off, like making
yeah.
sure people are taken care of. But I wasn't always sure if my work was funneling to the right space or being
Mhm.
channeled to the right area. So awards like that were just kind of confirmation that yes. you're on the right path, you're on the right track, keep going. So,
Yeah. What I really like about looking at those awards and the recipients and then also the nominees is that I love seeing the different names on those lists and
yeah.
then getting to know what those people are doing selfishly because a lot of them I want on the show at some point. But also to really leverage those people as resources. I think a lot of the times in communities small like ours, it's hard to kind of know who's out there for what and who can not only advocate but who can also support. So those things are always so good to know and so good to understand. I do think that as a community we could do better at not only getting those names out, but keeping those names out there. Again, we're a smaller community. I'm pretty sure there are many things and ways that we can do those things. And I know that those things are definitely going to come down the pipeline at some point. But we've talked a lot about you growing up here, the need for advocacy. And what I also want to mention is that before me and Anissa started talking, y'all, I was telling Anissa before this conversation, I actually got home. I laid down because I am currently in my second full week of teaching and I am tired. I am so exhausted. Something you said about you're right where you need to be. That really resonated. And I felt like we talked about that a little bit. My parents are educators. I really tried not to be an educator. I really did. But for as tired as I am, it feels good, it feels right, and it feels natural to be able to watch students grow and really understand and see their creativity play out.
Yeah.
That's something then again, like I said, I'm tired. Like, so like after class, my room's a mess. I've got magazine clippings and glue sticks and candy wrappers all over the place because we were making collages today because, we're all five. But there's a point, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I'm so tired, but this was so worth it. Like, even one of my kids who does not talk was like, getting in there and, cutting stuff out. And Miss M, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And so if I get that feeling watching kids make collages, I can only imagine the feeling that you get when someone calls you with a problem or when you're going and talking to students, or even you actually came to a Tawatsi meeting, you talked about sickle cell and seeing those eyes light up and those light bulbs go off. So I think that's fantastic. But as we're talking about all of these things, we all know if I'm tired, the Black woman is tired. Anissa, how do you balance it all? You have children, you are a woman of faith, you are involved in a few different clubs and organizations here in the Des Moines area, you are working full time. Um, how do you balance it all?
So again, I am fortunate to do what I love. So, yes, it's exhausting. Yes, it's not always sunshine and roses, but I always know that, the rainbow will come after the storm. So, I am a stickler with time management. So, I have a very solid routine that I do every day. I wake up in the morning. I'm a part of this group called Bible Study Fellowship. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I haven't.
Yeah, so we meet once a week for an hour, and it's women from all over the world. There's a lady from China in my group, people from Texas, but they're small groups. My friend Jamie actually got me attached to them, and so I they do a daily short Bible study. So it's about 20 minutes every day that I do on my own, and then on Monday evenings we meet for an hour all together via Zoom. So I start my day off every day. I pray before my feet hit the floor, and then I do my Bible study. I get dressed and get ready for work. And that time in the morning, the little probably hour and a half before I have to actually get into work is just kind of my time to myself. So I'll listen to my Audible if I'm going into the office. If not, I will make a cup of coffee and kind of relax before I go. May do a little scrolling just to get my mind moving. And then I'm also very clear about boundaries with like PTO and my time off.
Mm,
Well, you get PTO to use PTO, and I don't know when it became a badge of honor to like, "Oh, I have 400 hours of PTO stocked up." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know when that became a badge of honor. Like, it doesn't make you appear to work any harder than anyone else. You just have
no.
more PTO. And I have plenty of PTO because I have been there forever and a day, but I will also use my PTO.
Yeah.
So there are times, where I will be just like, it's Monday and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it this whole week. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, just make it to Friday, then I'll take the Friday and the Monday off, and then do what I have to do." Or I will find random days on my calendar and just take days off to just give myself time to breathe.
Mhm.
Burnt out me is not good me. Burnt out me is irritable me, and I cannot be irritable with the work that I do. So I always like to manage that. I'm also kind of an anxious person if I don't know the outcome of things. So
Mm.
I like to kind of a control thing maybe, but I like to know the ending of things or how things are going to work out or the outcome. So I do everything in my power to safeguard myself with that. If I'm going to the movies, I will Google how long the movie is. If I'm working on a project, I will put a very strict timeline so that I know when the project will be done for me. Just things like that that help me move through without anxiety because I do have anxiety and I know
Mhm.
that. I am also, believe it or not, fairly introverted. And so a lot of the things that I have to do require me to be more extroverted. So I am what I call a forced extrovert. And then recharging my battery is just coming home and relaxing and hanging out with my husband. My children are grown. I have 2 kids. And so it's just me, my husband, and the dogs, or I mean, 2 dogs. So it's just me, my husband, and the dogs here. So I can just unwind. I can read my book. I can listen to my book. I can watch
Mhm.
a show with my husband, just things like that. But I'm just very in tune with how I'm feeling.
Mhm.
If I start to feel like I'm getting burnt out or I'm not okay, then I will take time off. But I just try to stay very in tune with myself.
Mhm. Okay, I thought I was the only person that Googled how long the movie was. That's like my own personal, like, who's all gonna be there? Because it's
Yes,
I have to know. Because if I don't and I'm
same.
just sitting there,
Yes,
especially if the movie is bad, we're gonna have a problem. I do that with movies, I do it with TV shows. I
me
need
too.
to know same like, if, like, I'm watching, like, a documentary series, how many episodes is it?
Yep,
So I
yep,
can time out how many episodes I can watch before I need to cut it off.
absolutely.
So, okay,
Yes.
cool. I'm not the only one. That
No,
feels right. That feels that feels right. But, setting boundaries is so important. And I think what I didn't really realize either is that setting boundaries aren't for other people, they're for you. Wish somebody
yeah,
would have told me that.
yeah.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong. It's not offensive to set boundaries. You're
Nope.
protecting yourself.
Yep. Protecting yourself and you're protecting yourself and your mental health. And I wish someone would have told me that a lot sooner. That's something that I mean, I think I got that nugget from my therapist probably like 5 years ago. And it was before my divorce. And I was like, girl, what? I could do that. Like, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so setting that boundary. And then what I really love about your routine is that reassurance and that reiteration of I'm setting this time aside for me. It is not for anyone else. So, waking up in the morning, having your routine, having your time to yourself, that is one of those things where when you are in a front facing position like what I'm doing and what you're doing, they're important.
Yeah.
And, I talked to Paula Bell, not so long ago, and she challenged me. And I feel like you just challenged me a little bit to start doing something like that because I don't. I wake up like maybe 45 minutes before I have to go to work, and then I'm not really
Yeah.
ready. It takes
I
me a
also grow
while.
my own food. So gardening is also a big self-care for me. So I'm not sure if you knew that, but we love to grow our own food in this house. So I have a garden and I spend a lot of time in my garden with
Yes.
my coffee in the
Yeah.
morning.
I've seen your harvest. I think you had some peppers and I think some tomatoes not so long ago. And I was like, wow, those look delicious. And haha, I can't have a garden because I live in an apartment. So
You can. You
no,
can
and
get
I
grow
can't. No,
bags.
no,
Grow
no.
bags.
No, I already I was talking well, our other mutual friend, Ashley
Yes.
Bell, I called her a couple weeks ago and she's like, "Girl, what is it?" I was like, "I'm so mad right now." And she was like, "Well, what is it?" I just had to sit here and make my own dinner and I'm really upset about it. She was like, "Don't don't you have to do that though?" I was like, "It does matter." And like I also put it in these little individual containers because I'm lazy when I come home. I don't want to have to cook. So
Yeah.
I meal prep my lunch and my dinner. And I have food already. All I gotta do is pop it in the microwave and I'm good to go. And I was like, and I hate doing it. And she's like, Emily, it really sounds like though when you do that, that's your time to yourself.
Yeah. And it's a form of self-care. You're not eating out.
No,
You're preparing food and you're eating it at home.
I just have an attitude because no one's here to do it for me. So That's just selfish Emily talking.
Well, I understand.
It's fine. It's fine. But Anissa, this has been a great conversation. And I want to go ahead and before we get to the end, I wanted to do my favorite part of season 2, which is a lightning round. So I've got 10 questions here that I would love for you to answer as quickly as you would like. Cool.
All right.
So, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or a night owl?
Morning person.
What's the last book you read that inspired you?
Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty.
Okay. What favorite place to eat in Des Moines?
Johnny's Italian Steakhouse.
Ooh, girl.
It's my favorite.
Yep. I had my 38th birthday party there. So
Yes.
good. So good.
Yes.
So good. One song that always gets you motivated.
Go Get Your Blessing by Mary Mary.
Got it. Who is someone you'd love to sit down and have a conversation with, living or past?
Grandma.
Okay. What is one word your friends would use to describe you?
Loyal.
Go-to self-care ritual after a long day.
I'm a scroller, I have to say. Mindless TikTok scrolling.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yep, I'm a scroller.
Same. I've been really bad. There's this pygmy hippo in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which
That won't
his
get
name's
out.
Mars?
Yes, and she has to pick him up
I'm
every
hooked.
day.
I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Hooked
Yep.
completely. Favorite memory from growing up in Iowa?
Favorite memory was we used to go to the park every day in the summer. My grandma babysat us and our cousins,
Mhm.
and that was her way of like keeping the house clean. So we would go all walk down the street and we'd play at the park all day and then walk back home. So that was like my absolute favorite memory. We were
I
always
love that.
outside.
Okay.
Yep.
And last question. If you weren't working in healthcare, what career do you think you'd be doing instead?
I would be a social worker.
All right now, because you know what do Black women do when we get bored? We get degrees.
We get
So
degrees, I know.
if I see a Facebook post that Anissa just started her MSW, we're going to have a talk.
Yes.
It'll probably be
I wouldn't discount it.
Listen, it'll probably be around the same time I go ahead and apply to start my PhD program. So
Exactly.
I get that. I get it. Well, Anissa, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thanks so much for being here. I do want to roll out the red carpet so that way you can let people know where to find you and how to get connected and leverage your knowledge as an advocacy resource or just get some general information or maybe even have you be a guest speaker. So the floor is yours.
All right. Well, you can contact me on Facebook. That's what most people do on Messenger. Also, just about everybody in the community knows someone that knows me. So I'm sure that they could give you my phone number or you can email me. So my email address is ANESA, the numbers 52 at gmail.com. So yeah, I'm open for whatever anyone needs.
Awesome. Anissa, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your journey with us from your roots in Des Moines to leadership at UnityPoint Health to growing your ongoing commitment to equity, education, and community. Your story is such a powerful reminder of what it means to grow, lead, and give back. I'm inspired by the way you've turned connection into impact and made a lasting change right here in Des Moines. Thank you for tuning in to Black Girl Iowa. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and YouTube so you'll never miss an episode. You can also shop for exclusive podcast merch and my journaling kits on Etsy at Black Girl Iowa Shop. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Black Girl Iowa. Until next time, keep rising, keep reflecting, and keep celebrating our stories. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you took a moment just for yourself? Not for work, not for school, not for family, but for you. That's where journaling comes in. And that's exactly why I created my journaling kits. Each kit is designed to make it super easy and honestly, really fun to start your journaling journey. You'll get a decorated journal with over 100 prompts to spark your creativity, plus washi tape, stickers, cards, and even a sweet treat to keep you inspired. Journaling is more than just writing. It's self-care, it's reflection, it's dreaming bigger. And with these kits, you don't have to stare at a blank page wondering where to start. I've got you covered with prompts that will help you reflect, plan, and grow. They're just $18, and you can grab yours today on Etsy in the Black Girl Iowa shop. Don't wait to start your journaling journey. Your thoughts, your dreams, your story, they deserve a page.